Do you know how many searches happen on Google every single second? Almost 190,000. So why did their market share just hit a 10-year low? The answer has everything to do with AI, but not in the way you'd expect. In this video, I'm breaking down the data to show you exactly how AI is changing Google search. Let's talk about what's actually happening. Google is still absolutely massive. We're talking approximately 16.4 billion searches every single day. To put that into perspective, that's almost 5 trillion searches per year. That number hasn't really budged. So AI tools like ChatGPT and Perplexity, they're not eating into search volume the way the headlines suggest. But here's where things get interesting. While AI hasn't reduced the number of Google searches, it's completely changing how people interact with those searches. According to recent data, 58.5% of searches in the US don't result in anyone clicking on anything. They're called zero-click searches, and in Europe, that number is even higher at almost 60%. And guess what's fueling a lot of those zero-click searches? AI. Specifically, Google's AI overviews. Here's a fascinating stat. Only 7.71% of users will actually follow the links that AI overviews provide. And get this, despite that low click-through rate, only 8.5% of users say they always trust the information in those overviews. So people aren't clicking, but they're also not trusting what they're reading. Interesting behavior, right? Now let's go back to that whole market share drop. Google's global market share has fallen to 89.57% as of July 2025. That's down from over 91% in 2024, and it's their lowest market share in a decade. For context, that's a 2% drop in just 1 year, which might not sound like much, but when you're talking about billions of daily searches, that represents a massive shift in user behavior. So while ChatGPT and Perplexity haven't made a huge dent yet, we are beginning to see the very early signs that the tide is starting to turn. Even more telling, recent research shows that while 71.5% of people now use AI tools for search, nearly 80% still prefer Google or Bing for general information. So we're in this weird transitional phase. Let's talk about who's actually using Google. Mobile traffic dominates. Almost 70% of US Google traffic comes from mobile devices. And if you look at Japan, which is the second largest source of Google traffic, that number jumps to over 82% on mobile. So if you're still optimizing primarily for desktop, you're missing the majority of your users. As for demographics, Google users skew younger and male. Over 55% of Google visitors are between 18 and 34 years old, while users 55 and older only make up about 16% of traffic. And surprisingly, almost 65% of Google traffic is male. Though interestingly, if you look at country-specific Google domains like google.co.uk, the gender split is actually reversed, with female users in the majority. One more quick thing about search intent, the vast majority of Google searches are informational. Over 52% of queries are people just looking for information, not trying to buy anything. In fact, only 0.69% of searches have transactional intent. That means that less than 1% of all Google searches are from people actually ready to pull out their credit card. So if your SEO strategy is focused on transactional keywords, you're competing for a very small piece of the pie. When you look at all of this data together, the picture becomes pretty clear. Google is still absolutely the king of search as of the end of 2025, processing nearly 190,000 searches every single second. But if you're in SEO or digital marketing, pay attention to those zero-click searches and that slowly declining market share. The landscape is shifting, just not as dramatically or quickly as the headlines might have you believe. Now that you know zero-click searches are at nearly 60%, and AI is reshaping how people find information, you're probably wondering how to actually optimize your site for this new search landscape. Be sure to watch this next video where I break down exactly how to improve your website SEO for both organic and AI search. And if you like this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button for more guides and strategies that drive real results. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.